Hey guys, it's Drummond. Welcome back to my channel. If you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button so you know whenever I'm posting my next video. And hopefully you guys have been having a good week. I have been extremely busy, but I'm super excited. If you haven't already, make sure you go check out my Instagram and my Snapchat. I've been posting a lot on there because I've been extremely busy and it's hard to kind of jump onto YouTube all the time. But those, because they're on my phone, I post there a lot. I'm doing Q&As on Instagram. I'm just doing goofy videos on Snapchat for you guys. So hopefully you check those out. But today's video is going to be about my first love. So my first gay relationship. So I dated girls before I started dating guys in college, but it was my first relationship with a guy where I really found out what it felt like to really connect with someone on a level where you didn't want to lose them, like they became your world. And I kind of want to talk about that because mine was actually a very unhealthy relationship because I dealt with abuse in my relationship, but there was a lot of things that kind of went through my mind, and there was a lot of different things that I went through in my first relationship that I felt like I learned a lot from. So I wanted to share those things with you guys. So my first relationship, I actually ended up coming out because of it. My stepsister actually outed me, so I've talked about that in previous videos, but she actually outed me when she saw a picture of me and my roommate at the time. I did have a boyfriend, but it wasn't him. And for me, my relationship started off, we had met on, I think it was actually considered Hot or Not, which is very similar to what Tinder is now. But it was a Facebook, I guess you could call it an app. But we both swiped, I guess, Hot, and we matched. And we actually ended up being very passionate about Carrie Underwood. And I'd won some tickets to see her, and I invited him down because he actually lived in West Virginia, which was 6 hours away from me here in Virginia. And he drove down to go to the concert with me. And honestly, my first relationship, he wasn't the first person that I'd ever gone on a date with, but he was the person that I kind of came out to the world with. So it was kind of a big deal for me. Honestly, when it came to that relationship, we were both still very religious, and that was something that I had to struggle with for many more years to come before I was able to kind of love myself for being religious, love myself for being gay. But in that relationship, I think that added a lot of stress to the relationship, just because for me, every single time we had an issue in the relationship, I wondered whether or not it was God telling me that being in a gay relationship was wrong. By the way, it's not. But that was something that kind of went through my head, and a lot of people don't really talk about the whole after coming out process, where they're even after you come out, it's not like it's just butterflies and rainbows every single day, because every single day is kind of like another day where you have to learn how to kind of love and accept yourself for everything that you are. And when it came to adding relationships on top of religion into that whole mess, it was a whole new thing for me. So my first relationship, as I've said in other videos, was an extremely abusive relationship, and it was abusive mentally and physically. So there were a lot of times where my boyfriend wouldn't allow me to be friends with other people. I actually moved to West Virginia to be with him because after I came out, my dad kind of was like, not having a gay son. So instead of facing that tension, I just kind of ran away from it, which, I mean, when you're young and trying to come out and you have a family that's not really accepting of you, running away kind of seems like the best option, which, looking back, I feel like maybe I should have fought and defended myself and kind of stood up for myself in that situation, but you live and you learn. But so I ended up moving to West Virginia to be with him, and I had a lot of friends here in Virginia because I came out in college, so I'd already made a lot of friends in college. And I kind of moved to West Virginia to be with him, and he allowed me to have friends that were his friends. So when we had issues and we'd fight about something and I'd open up to his friends about the situation, they'd just kind of go behind my back and tell him everything that I had said. So I didn't really have any friends that were mine, and he was very controlling, and he didn't allow me to have friends that weren't his friends. And it got very abusive when I tried to make friends that weren't his friends, because I did meet some people that came up to me and they're like, hey, you're dating a really bad person. And I was like, no, he's a great person. You guys just don't understand him. You probably believe all the lies that his ex has told. Yeah, so I was that in love. I would say that I was in love with him just because he was a guy, and it was the first guy I'd ever been with, and I just felt that extreme connection with him. And I was just like, oh my gosh, these feelings that I'm having right now, they're so intense, and they're like nothing I've ever felt before for someone. Because when I was with girls, I never wanted to do anything sexually with them. And honestly, I'd always say that I was a good Christian boy because I didn't want to have sex because you're supposed to wait until marriage. So that was kind of my defense to why I wouldn't get any closer with girls when I was in a relationship. But when I was with this guy, I was just like, oh my gosh, I could never feel like I was close enough to him. Like I just wanted to like absorb myself into him because I just wanted to be that close. And honestly, it wasn't an extremely abusive relationship at first. It was something that kind of progressed and got worse as it went on. I dated him for 2 years before I realized that enough was enough and I just had to leave. It was a relationship that I just felt so many strong emotions in, and honestly, being the Christian person that I was, I only wanted to be with one person. I didn't want to be the type of person that just had sex with as many people that I could. And I was just like, I want to make this work. I want to be with just one person. And I would say it was probably 4 months into our relationship that we finally did have sex. And like I've said in other videos, and a lot of you guys have subscribed to my channel because of my different coming out story, I was molested as a child, so the idea of having sex with someone really scared me because I was really afraid that if I did go through the whole penetration being a bottom, that it would bring back all of those memories. Because in the past, a lot of times when people would like hold my arms down when they were playing, like it would just bring this like panic into me. And I was really afraid that that would happen when I was trying to have sex with my boyfriend, which thankfully, it didn't happen very frequently. Only when things got a little bit too rough, it kind of sparked that panic in me again. And honestly, that was something I had to overcome, something I've gotten a lot better at. But I don't think I'll ever be the type of person that has like extremely rough sex, just because that part of me will always be there. It's not something that you just forget. It's something that you kind of live with for the rest of your life. I feel like now that I'm older, if I were to go back in time, I would probably never allow myself to be in that type of relationship. There was a lot of signs that said he was a controlling, manipulative person. And honestly, there was a lot of different things where I kind of felt like I was doing everything right and I was still being punished for things that I felt like weren't really things to be punished for, like making friends. And then I realized that a lot of the reasons why he was extremely jealous and felt like I was cheating on him all the time was because he was doing that to me. So yeah, I learned a lot from that relationship, and hopefully if you're in that situation, you realize that you are worth a lot more than someone who's willing to hit you or willing to make you feel horrible about yourself to manipulate you into staying with them. Not a good thing. But I will say that my feelings for him were so intense that when it came to like moving on past him, it was really hard for me. I tried to break up with him several times, but I felt like this extreme loneliness every single time it happened because, one, I had moved to a different state to be with him, and two, I felt like my relationship with my family wasn't really a relationship that I could like come home to after I'm like, hey, I'm gay. And then not being accepted by my dad really pushed me to the point where I felt like I kind of had to stay in that relationship and I had to make it work. And it wasn't great. If you haven't already, I've posted videos on my channel about living through abuse. And in that video, I kind of talked about like the abuse that I dealt with my dad, the abuse I dealt with my mom's brother, who was the person who molested me when I was 5, and then the constant abuse that I went through with my boyfriend. And honestly, I will say that I've learned a lot, and I would never want anyone else to go through some of the things that I've gone through to get me to where I am today. But I'm thankful that I've learned from those things, because hopefully I can share things like this in videos on YouTube, or when I'm working with clients through life coaching. hopefully some of my stories can kind of help other people be strong and get out of those situations a lot sooner than I did. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. Go check me out on other social medias. I will leave those links below. And if you've got any comments, feel free to leave them below. I love hearing from you guys, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.